Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell. You'll get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And when I'm not asking Bruce, hey, how big was Batista's? Well, you know. One of the things I like to do is help people save money. And if you're watching this video right now and you're in a 30-year loan, man, you're overpaying your single biggest bill and you may not even realize it. I want you to do a little experiment for me. Take your calculator out, multiply your monthly house payment by 360 payments. That's how many payments there are in a 30-year loan. That big scary number, that's your total of payments. You're looking at that number? You know you can do better. Keep more of your own money right now and go to savewithconrad.com. Or maybe you've got credit card debt. Man, it's not a matter of if I can save you money with that. Your average interest rate on a credit card is more than 20%. And by the way, all the interest you pay on those credit cards, it's not tax deductible. Whereas the mortgage interest, well, that is tax deductible. So if you owe this debt, it's up to you how to pay it back. Doesn't it make sense to get the cheapest rate possible and the greatest tax deduction possible? Find out how much money you can save right now for free at savewithconrad.com. You don't need perfect credit. Even scores in the 500s can be approved, and it's no cost out of pocket. But maybe best of all, we're licensed in more than 40 states. We can help more families than ever before. But how much can we save you? Find out right now for free with a quick quote from savewithconrad.com.
You are sitting ringside with David Penzer on Radio Influence.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Sitting Ringside. My name is David Penzer, and we are so happy that you are here once again to listen to this thing we call a podcast. If you're a longtime listener, you know that when I set out to do this podcast, I set out to not only have discussions and tell stories with some of the biggest wrestling names in history, but also to hear the stories of those who don't talk a lot, who don't give a lot of interviews, and don't talk a lot about their careers. So in that vein, I am really excited that we were able to hook up, and we're going to have him on in just a few moments with David Arquette, somebody who is known in the wrestling business, but also very well known in Hollywood and is a big fan of professional wrestling. I want to hear his story, and I know a lot of people like to say that he killed WCW, and we'll address that in the interview, or it was the straw that broke the camel's back. Folks, you might disagree. Hey, if you think that's true, then you're welcome to your opinion. That's the great thing about this country that we live in. But I will tell you that I was there. I will tell you that I was at every television taping, and I worked in the office when we weren't at TV, and they were just looking for some publicity. David's a great guy. He was eager to do something. When the idea presented itself, at the time, it got a ton of positive press for not only the company, which desperately needed some, but for the movie as well, which also desperately needed some, although I liked the movie. But it didn't light the box office on fire, and I'm not saying anything that nobody doesn't know or hasn't said. So I am a strong believer that David Arquette did not hurt the business, did not hurt WCW, and we'll talk about that amongst other subjects. I want to hear about this RJ City. I was doing some investigation, and we'll talk with David about it, but I was doing some prep for the interview yesterday, and I came across a independent Canadian wrestler named RJ City sitting in his underwear in a hotel room drinking coffee with David Arquette, who was also sitting in his underwear. So we're going to find out a little bit more about that because that's something. Certainly, I'm surprised that hasn't gone viral on TMZ yet. But not a lot going on in wrestling this week, but something big did happen, and that is I'd say for me it was a shock. I don't know if it was a surprise for the people that were behind it. They're they've been gauging the interest in the All In show, which started as a dare from Dave Meltzer against Ring of Honor, that they could draw 10,000 people in the United States. And as we know, Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks decided to take that up on their own and try to promote a show called All In. If you haven't heard of it, Google it because it's all over the place. But my point is, I thought they had a shot at 10,000 people. I really did. There's a lot of internet support behind it, a lot of buzz about it on Twitter. But I would have never in a million years told me that you're going to sell out in 30 minutes. There was 34 minutes. They sold out the entire building in Chicago that holds over 10,000 people. I'd be real curious to know if Cody and the Bucks were surprised by that, because I was shocked. As a matter of fact, I was sitting there watching the Rays game, getting ready to go. We saw James Taylor concert. This has nothing to do with wrestling, but if you ever get a chance to see James Taylor in concert, if you're a James Taylor fan, I cringed at having to pay over $100 a ticket. Plus those Ticketmaster charges are always a bitch. But I was worth every darn penny that I spent. My wife agreed, and now it's something that's checked off the bucket list. So just as a total aside, if you ever get a chance to see James Taylor, if you are a fan, he is phenomenal in concert. But I was watching the Rays game. As you know, I'm a Tampa Bay Rays fan. I'm a glutton for punishment. And I remembered the tickets were going on sale. So I think I was on Twitter and I saw the link. So I went in, and this is about 20, 30 minutes after they would have gone on sale, about 4:30. And I put 2 tickets in, best seats available. And I get a response that says there's no tickets available at this price level. Call us, basically call the arena or try a different price level. Well, I had put best available. So then I tried a couple other things, got the same thing. I'm thinking to myself, it must have overloaded the computer. They must have had a big initial rush, and it overloaded the computer. And then I started seeing on social media that the thing sold out in 30-something minutes. Blowed my mind. My mind is blowed. And unfortunately, I do feel bad for some people. There were some people who got airline tickets, took time off from work, got hotel reservations, and assumed, I think, like I would have, that, as long as you get tickets within the first week or 2 or 3 that they're on sale, you're going to get your choice of seat. And nope, not this time. And so those people got stuck either having to eat their plans or buy a ticket through a scalping site. And apparently there weren't even a lot of scalping sites that had tickets. I think a couple hundred were all that were available. Anyway, congratulations to Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks. They took a chance. They had some cojones. They put their own money where their mouth was. They put together a very interesting social media campaign, and it paid off. And so really looking forward to seeing what these guys will do in the future, because if they could do this in Chicago, God knows what they could do different places in this country and around the world. So congratulations to those guys for their fast sellout. And other than that, a pretty slow week in the world of professional wrestling, but a great James Taylor concert nonetheless. Hey, want to remind you that if you want to talk wrestling, if you want to talk James Taylor, hit me up on Twitter. It's at David Penzer, all one word, or at Penzer Ringside is the site of the show. And happy to discuss anything, answer any questions. And even found out through chatting with some of our listeners and my followers on Twitter that I had no idea that Gallows and Anderson do a impression of me and Howard Finkel on Chris Jericho's podcast. And so I still have not gone back and found that. I haven't had a chance, but I'm going to be looking for that, because apparently they do an impression of me, and I did not know that. And I'm honored that they would even think of that. And I'm interested to hear what I sound like. So, but check us out on social media. If you don't use social media, you can hit me up at David Penzer, all one word, at radioinfluence.com, and always available to interact with the fans. So with that said, please welcome our guest this week. We are excited to have him, actor and former WCW World Heavyweight Champion. I was there that night, and the place was going nuts. Whether you loved it or hate it, it got a buzz. Ladies and gentlemen, David Arquette. We are absolutely honored, and that's an understatement, to have world-renowned actor and former WCW World Heavyweight Champion on our podcast.
I get it. It's a wrestling podcast, but he's saving us money on our mortgage. You really trust this process? The reviews don't lie. 5-star review after 5-star review. We make it fast, we make it easy, and it's no cost or obligation. Give us a shot to earn your business. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did, especially if you like keeping more of your own money. You don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket, so what are you waiting for? Hurry to SaveWithConrad.com.
This week, it is my pleasure to welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. David Arquette. David, thank you for being here.
Thank you, David.
So I don't know.
Glad to be here.
Before we get into your story, I don't know if you remember this, but probably not. I bet that you don't. But I recently saw you up in Detroit. But other than that, the last time I saw you, I was we were sitting on a roof of a hotel in L.A. It was me, you, and Chris Canyon doing vodka shots, getting ready for the premiere of Ready to Rumble at Mann's Chinese Theater with the red carpet and the after party and all that. And for you, I'm sure that's like called a Thursday, but for me, that was like, other than my the birth of my kids, probably one of the coolest things I ever did, walking the red carpet and all that. I know that you were tight with Chris. I know you were tight with Chris Canyon, so I just wanted to get your thoughts on him and all the the help that he gave to you guys in the movie and when you came to WCW.
Yeah, Chris was an amazing guy. I do remember that. We were on the top of the Hyatt, right next to the Comedy Store on Sunset Boulevard, right?
I do believe so.
I'm pretty sure that's where it was.
I don't remember though. Yeah. It was the company hotel, wherever the company hotel was.
Yeah.
And
that's amazing, man.
So
yeah, I love Chris Canyon, man. I love him so much. He was so helpful. And then he worked for Oliver Platt. Incredible. He did so much work on that. And then when I went to WCW, he was just incredible. He took that bump off the triple cage, which I couldn't believe. He is just an amazing guy. Just a really incredible guy. I had no idea he was gay. I wish he would have told me because we could have talked about it. You know, I grew up with transgender sister, Alexis, so it would have been easy. I don't know if that was like part of why he was so depressed and took his life, but I don't know. I felt horrible when I found out. He's just such a great guy and such an amazing talent in the sport.
And not to get off on a tangent, but we all kind of knew, and nobody cared. I think he was way more. I think he was way more worried about it than anybody else was. You know, I can't say nobody. Right. You know, there's hundreds of wrestlers out there, but nobody that I know gave a crap. You know, you are what you are, and God bless you, and have a happy life.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to start off by that because that was a great memory. Other than the fact that we lost Canyon, it's something I think about every once in a while. And
yeah, me too.
So I know that you were a wrestling fan growing up. Were you actually probably back then it was the NWA? Were you an NWA or a WWF fan?
I was more WWF. Yeah. I followed them religiously. I went to the live shows when they came to Los Angeles. I was always confused why there was never a exchange of the belts when it wasn't televised. But I understand the business a little more now. But yeah, I loved it. I was a Hulkamaniac. I hated Roddy Piper and I loved the Macho Man. And, that was my whole sort of scene. My dad actually did the voice of Jimmy Superfly Snuka on the Hogan's Heroes or Hogan, or whatever the Hogan cartoon was.
The cartoon I actually saw in doing prep for this interview. I actually saw that you had mentioned that, and they didn't really sound like the actual talent, and
no, my dad was still a white boy playing him, so. I don't know. It's just sort of crazy. It was a crazy time back then.
Yeah, certainly. So you're cast for Ready to Rumble. Now, is this just another movie for you, or are you more invested because you are a wrestling fan, getting to, hang out with the guys and be in a wrestling movie?
I was thrilled. I mean, literally, it's kind of like the character in the movie where, I believe wrestling I still honestly think it's more real than anything. So I was always sort of a mark, as you'd say. I really loved wrestling. I was obsessed with it. And then when this script came along, I'd known Scott Kahn for a long time, so it was kind of like this weird time where something that is very close and personal to me. I'm with a good buddy of mine who's an actual buddy of mine. Then we go on this adventure, and I get to see all my heroes and travel with them and meet them. And, the whole experience was just incredible for me. I loved it. was like a dream come true, really.
Yeah, it was a cool experience. I got to go out and do when they did the crowd scenes at the Olympic Auditorium. I was the one who came out and told the crowd what to cheer and what to chant and all that. So I got my little taste of Hollywood. But it seemed like a great time. It seemed like everybody got along. The wrestlers and the talent in the movie all got along splendidly. So you guys look like you guys were having a great time. I'm assuming that it was always planned for you to make an appearance on WCW TV, to cross promote Ready to Rumble. When did you find out that they had more in mind for you than just coming out and promoting the movie?
I think there was a plan for me to just go on and do something and just kind of help promote the movie. And then I think it got a pretty big pop, and it was like people were excited about it. It got a lot of buzz. So that they're like, why don't you come back? And then I came back, and then they mentioned that they had plans to take it further to the next pay-per-view. I was like, great, I get to tour around with my heroes, fly on an airplane with Hulk Hogan to ask him questions and talk to him about, WrestleMania and, oh man, and just Macho Man. Oh, just getting to know all those people. It's just like, something I'd always dreamt of and always looked up to these guys. I still look up to them.
Folks, something I was wondering about this week. People take vitamins to protect their health. You get a flu shot so you don't get the flu. You get car insurance in case you're in a car accident. My point is, with most things in life, you don't wait for the problems. You have preemptive measures. So my question to you guys is, why not do the same thing with your hair? Well, now you can. Go to 4hims.com, a one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, and sexual wellness for men. Thanks to science, baldness is now optional. Hims connects you with real doctors and medical-grade solutions to treat hair loss. Basically, it's generic equivalents to name-brand prescriptions to help you keep your hair. You don't have to go to a doctor's office. You don't have to sit in a waiting room. You save hours by going to 4hims.com. It's very simple. Answer a few quick questions. A doctor will review and can prescribe you, and products are shipped directly to your door. As some of you know, I am follically challenged, and I am not happy about it whatsoever. It just happened about 15 years ago. It started to go, and now I got a big bald spot in the middle of my head. So my point is, I wish this product was around about 15 years ago so I could have more of my hair. If you're interested in preemptively preventing hair loss, then order now. My listeners get a trial month of Hims for just $5 today, right now while supplies last. See website for full details. This would cost hundreds if you went to a doctor or a pharmacy. Go to 4hims.com/Penzer. That's FORHIMS.com/PENZER. 4hims.com/Penzer to keep more of your hair. Do you remember at what point they mentioned putting the world title on you? And if so, what was your reaction?
I do. It's all a little foggy. It was 18 years ago. So when it first happened, I was like, are you guys sure? I don't know. I sort of said yes because it meant that I got to travel and I got to be part of this crazy world and get to hang out with my heroes. And I didn't take into consideration how sort of disrespectful it was to the belt. I didn't really, take that into consideration. But I just watched the WrestleMania documentary about, the history of WrestleMania.
Right.
And, from Cyndi Lauper and Mr. T on, there's always been a sort of celebrity component. I guess it's just the fact that I won the belt that was the big thing that upset everyone, or I wasn't Arnold Schwarzenegger or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna get there soon about people, all the crap that you had to take, and people saying you killed the company. Look, I was with that company. I was at every television show they did. I worked in the office when I wasn't doing TV. I could assure you, if there was ever a question in your mind, if you winning the world title killed WCW, That's the farthest thing from what killed that company. As a matter of fact,
well, thanks, man. That makes me feel better, and that clears some stuff up.
There you go. But so you pin Eric Bischoff to win the title. They hand you this famous big gold belt that Ric Flair had worn for years, even before WCW. And at some point, are you going like in the back of your mind, like, holy shit, I just became the WCW heavyweight champion, like almost like having a conversation with yourself?
A little bit. I was more like playing a role. I'm an actor.
I got you.
You know what I mean? So it was like, I don't know. I shot like one of my first promos that I shot after it. I kind of went off script and I was like, I don't deserve this. You know, Booker T deserves this. A lot of other people deserve this. That was kind of from my mouth and what I truly felt. I always thought they were going to overturn it in some kind of wrestling way. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Where like I always thought they were going to say, they counted 3, but Jarrett had pinned Page before, so that Jarrett was going to win it, and they just reverse it, and I'd never really be the champion, but they wanted to ride it out, and so we did. But I don't know. Yeah, I was sort of just really going along with the ride. I didn't really know the whole business. I still don't completely understand all the intricacies. I mean, it takes a lifetime to really figure it all out. I'm the most gullible person. Like, if somebody says something, I typically believe them. So then, I don't know. I kind of probably was the worst person to be put in that position because I kind of just went along with it and was sort of, trying to be as respectful as possible. But I had no idea until people just totally got so upset about it that it had that much of an effect. And I understand the history, and I understand the, wrestlers, like everything they put themselves through, and that I hadn't sort of paid my dues or deserved anything like that, much less, getting the belt, much less, one of the things was I was never able to really wrestle. You know what I mean? There was some insurance policy, so I could never really do anything too crazy. I wanted to try more things. I mean, I would have been more, never as great as a Mick Foley, but I could have done some crazy shit like, like Shane McMahon or something like that. Like, I'll jump off of something. You know what I mean? I'll take some crazy bumps that some people might not. But I never really got the opportunity to. So then I just kind of came off as a stooge. And then they had some insurance policy that they couldn't hurt me. So I think they were even worried about, hurting me.
So you talk about this insurance policy that they have on you. They didn't let you do a lot, which I remember. But then they put you in your first match after you pinned Eric and won the world title was against Tank Abbott. I'm thinking to myself, if I had a guy that had an insurance policy and I didn't want him to get hurt, I don't know that I'd put him in the ring with Tank Abbott. Tell me about your thoughts on that. I wouldn't get in the ring with Tank Abbott for I don't know what you got paid, and it's none of my business. You donated it all anyway, bless you. But what were your thoughts? I'd be scared shitless.
Yeah, I was. He hits hard. I mean, if I don't know, if he only tapped me a couple times or something, but he can punch, that guy. But the funny thing was, I was a little scared, but I was more just kind of going through it. Like, I was nervous the whole time. I was nervous about going out there. I didn't embrace the real, that wrestling sort of ego that you have, and really own it and take your time. You know what I mean? Everything was rushed, and I approached it more like an actor than, someone who was trained in wrestling, which I wasn't. But yeah. So the funny thing about Tank was that night, some people were so mad at me, mainly a lot of the backstage people who, understandably so, have given their life and have been dedicated, been traveling, have been trying to work their way up. And the problem is, it's taking a shot away from some of these guys that might have been their time. That's why I did want to call out like Booker T and Canyon when I had the chance. But we partied at the hotel bar afterwards, and I was literally like, you know what, I should just get in a fight with Tank, and then at least I could maybe get some respect. You know what I mean? Even if I got beat up, like almost like a prison philosophy, like somebody's gonna like treat me with respect. That's the one thing that it did kind of dig at me, was that people were like this. For one, people didn't really know who I am. They think like I'm very Courtney Cox or this or that, but they didn't know who, like, my background or what that I could stand up for myself or whatever.
Yeah, speaking about drinking with Tank Abbott, if I remember correctly, and I'm pretty sure I do, he ordered a vodka on the rocks, double vodka on the rocks, and then another side cup of cranberry juice. And he'd take the little bar straw and he'd take a little fill up with cranberry juice, and he put the one little cranberry juice in the bar straw in the double vodka and drink that. But speaking of drinking,
I think I stole that. No, it came from him.
Speaking of drinking, I did want to give you credit. In all the time that I've been in the wrestling business, people have bought rounds. Flair's renowned for buying kamikaze shots. You did something, and for people who don't know, after Nitro is over, or Thunder is over, everybody goes back to basically the same hotel. The wrestlers, the crew, the whole production, everybody, and we have half the hotel, if not the whole thing. And usually, to unwind, we go down, have a couple drinks, some more than others, and you. I don't know if you remember this, you probably do, but you bought the entire bar that whole night. That's as a thank you to everybody. Do you remember that? And I just want to say thank you, because I drank more than a couple.
Oh, cheers, man. Yeah, I remember. I think I bought pizza too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good time, man. It was. I did want to show my respect. And last thing I really ever wanted to do was disrespect wrestling. That's what's kind of like dug into me after all these years. That people still get upset.
Yeah. If this was 10 years earlier, I get it. This is and we know what's gone on since 2000. It's been 18 years, but the evolution of social media and cell phones and it was a whole different world. And look, WWF had said, "Hey, it's fake. It's make believe. We it's predetermined." I hate the word fake, because, as you know, people get hurt, but they had admitted it. So hell, you got a guy who's a movie star. He's the lead in your movie that you just invested money in, and you're looking for not only for publicity for the movie, but you're looking for publicity because you're getting your butt kicked by the competition. And why not put? It's not like they put the belt on you for a year and had you go around for every house show and defend it. They put it on. There was a little storyline arc, and I honestly, I'm not kissing your ass. I wouldn't have you on the show if I was offended by it, because I would be disrespectful. I just never got why there was so much heat. Everybody is a critic, and on Twitter, I'm sure you have 100,000, a zillion times the followers I do, but everybody has an opinion, and they can hide behind their Twitter handle. So, you mentioned Courtney Cox, who was your wife at the time. What was her reaction to this whole wrestling thing? Did she think you were crazy?
She did think I was crazy. I mean, she always thought I was crazy, but she didn't really understand like the whole thing. She was going, okay, she knew I loved it, and so she was supportive. She was kind of like didn't really understand. Just to go back to your last thing, I think it also would have made a big difference if it was a big hit movie. There's a big difference between having a movie come out and not do that great and having a movie come out and be like top of the box office. It's like, granted, Vin Diesel's a little bigger than me and everything, but if it was, Vin Diesel, and I still think people get pissed off about it, but they kind of understand. I mean, I wouldn't, if
Fast and the Furious was coming out, and he didn't make a run, and there was a little story arc where he kind of came in and wrestled and did a good job, and people liked it. You kind of buy Vin Diesel being a part, you know what I mean? So it all kind of came down to the way we're received. The funny thing is, it's kind of stood the test of time, and people have appreciated the film more in retrospect. And a lot of the kids that saw it when they were younger are now like grown-up kids from the 90s. So it's kind of taken on a different tone. And although a lot of people still are upset about it, like true wrestling fans, a lot of wrestling fans who enjoy the storylines of it and the sort of comedy component, they do kind of like, they're cool to me when I see them at events.
I sometimes think people take things too seriously. It's just entertainment, but I do. You've become a pop culture icon, if for anything. And I saw you mention this in an interview. That's why I bring it up. To where everything's compared now to you winning the world title. So when the little kid Nicholas came in at WrestleMania and teamed with Braun Strowman, that got compared to, of course, David Arquette winning the world title. What I don't understand is why don't they compare it to Vince Russo winning the world title? At least you were a movie star and had a recognizable name. Not anything against Vince Russo, but nobody, not as many people crap on Vince Russo for doing the same thing. He booked himself to win the world title, but if David Arquette does it, then it's a travesty.
I know, it's crazy, but granted, Vince was in the business for a long time, so.
I'm just going to be honest with you. That's bullshit. I got nothing against Vince, but that's BS. I mean, fans should have been just as offended that he won it if they were offended that you won it. Hey, at the very end, you got to turn heel, and you came out all dressed up like a pimp. And I was watching the interview last night when I was doing some the prep for the show, and you look like you had a blast. And most wrestlers have more fun as a heel, especially if they have that type of personality. How much fun did you have in that short little run being a heel as compared to the underdog babyface when you first won it?
I did enjoy it. It was fun. Like I said, Piper was one of my heroes, and thank goodness I got to meet him before he passed, and he was just the coolest, and he just such a hero, such like the sweetest guy in the world. I mean, no one, him and Bobby Heenan were two of the greatest heels in my opinion, and God bless them both. But yeah, it was fun playing a heel. I mean, I was funny because I was a babyface that people hated. That's a funny little corner of wrestling. You know what I mean? I mean, it's funny that, I don't know, even like, I know Roman Reigns gets a little of that. You know what I mean? Like, people will love that guy or hate him. And it's like the boos and the cheers are almost as loud as they're, as anything. Which is a funny little middle ground. As long as they're making noise, they do.
Yeah, well, Roman Reigns is a whole nother level of people not liking what the promoters are selling, and that's gone on for 4 years now. Your little storyline arc was a couple of months.
Yeah, exactly. I like Roman. I'm a fan. I think he's got a ton of talent, and puts up with a lot.
So looking back, almost.
But I also love what's going on in the minor leagues. I mean, the sort of not minor leagues, but the other wrestling leagues. I love the independent circuit right now and everything going on, all the really oddball stuff going on. It's a pretty exciting time for wrestling with social media and everything.
It really is, especially after this past weekend with the sellout of the All In show in 30 minutes, which really took me by a huge surprise. I think it took everybody by a huge surprise, quite frankly. People bought airfare and hotel rooms thinking they'd have plenty of time to buy tickets, and then they couldn't get tickets. And I guess they'll be at the convention, which I'll be at, and I'd love to see you there at the StarCast. Sitting Ringside is sponsored by Good Cigar Company. I talked about this company last week, and I mentioned that I wish I'd have thought of this concept. And since then, I talked to a couple of friends, and they agreed we could have been partners, but it wasn't to be. The good news is somebody else thought of it, and makes a great Father's Day gift. Instead of taking Dad out to brunch or buying him a golf shirt, you could do something different this year. Give Dad his own personal tobacconist with a Good Cigar Company subscription. A great price, only $30 plus 10% off for our listeners. Ever try to go into a cigar store, especially if you're not a cigar aficionado, and it's really hard to kind of navigate the waters of, so many cigars and you don't know the taste and all that? But the cool thing is Good Cigar Company makes it simple. Just pick a strength level and they send you the top shelf cigars at a great price. Another good thing about Good Cigar Company, you don't need a humidor, you don't even need a cutter, you don't even need matches. Good Cigar Company also takes care of that. Each pack comes with premium cigars and everything needed to light them up. The pack even acts as its own humidor, so the cigars stay fresh for months. I think that's so cool. So what do you get in the mail when you order a pack? We mentioned 2 premium cigars. We mentioned matches. You also get a double guillotine cutter. We talked about the humidity sealed pack. But they even go farther. They give you detailed tasting notes and a guide on how to smoke a cigar if it's your first time. Everything you need in one easy pack. So go to goodcigar.co. That is goodcigar.co and use the promo code Ringside for 10% off any subscription. You'll be glad you did. That's goodcigar.co and use the promo code Ringside for 10% off. Looking back almost 20 years later, when everybody looks back at things in life, after with some time gone behind it, and they usually the negative stuff goes away, and you remember the positive things. I hope you look at it as a positive, kind of kid living his dream type of thing. But I'm wondering if you do, and what you think about it when you look back.
I do a little. I mean, kind of hard. There's just I don't know. I've never had the experience of being the sort of low bar, like you're worse than, that's as bad as, and then insert your name there. So I do like the actual experience. I do look back on fondly. I do still love wrestling. I've been studying a lot of it, watching a lot of the old documentaries. Recently I watched Be on the Mat again, which is just my favorite. So still have mad love for it, and I'll continue to love wrestling.
A little later on, after WCW went out of business, which I'll say again had nothing to do with you, for the record, in my opinion.
Thank you.
You appeared in a WWE in the crowd at a television taping, holding a sign that said "former WCW World Champion," which I actually think is hilarious. Do you know whose idea that was? Was that your idea? Was that Creative's idea?
That was mine. It was sort of taken from, I was playing like the role of the character I played in Ready to Rumble.
In Ready to Rumble.
Yeah. That's what he would have done. I might have been the champ for a second, but I'm still a fan. I'll always be a fan. Here I am, back in it.
I'm assuming that WWF didn't have an insurance policy on you because you took a powerbomb through a table. How was that experience?
That was great. I mean,
that was great.
It was a crazy.
That was great. So how was the powerbomb through the table? That was great. I love it.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, you can't. I mean, stuff like that's real. Like that was more of a bump than I was able to take in my whole other wrestling thing. I mean, one thing I got to do was jump off the top rope because I was always Jimmy Superfly Snuka fan, and jump off the top rope. But then they were like, nobody wanted me to hurt them, so I couldn't even land on anybody. They're like, okay, we'll move out of the way, so you just land, on by yourself. But yeah, I loved doing the powerbomb. I was just in a really weird place at that time in my life. It was in New Orleans, and I was going through a divorce, and I was heartbroken, and didn't rest as much as I should have. Drank too much the night before, so it wasn't my shining moment, and I wish that my first sort of interaction with WWE would have been sort of more professional. But I always I loved meeting Vince and Triple H. You know, it was and Stephanie, just meeting everybody. That was, you know, I'm a fan of everyone, so I'm backstage and I'm kind of like geeking out and just, you know, oh wow, that's, you know.
No, I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
Speaking of WWE, you were around pretty much all of WrestleMania weekend in New Orleans this year. Back where it all started with WWE. How was your experience WrestleMania weekend, and what was the highlight for you?
Wow, WrestleMania weekend was really fun. I think the highlights was seeing some of the independent guys, Joey Ryan, you know what I mean, and all these cats. Just kind of, you know, just walking around, meeting the fans, talking to the fans, seeing some of the guys like the Cat that I hadn't seen in a long time, seeing Shane Helms again. I mean, Shane Helms doubled me on Ready to Rumble. Just always the coolest guy. Such a fan of his talent. Just an incredible wrestler, super dedicated, was always very helpful with me, and got nothing but respect for that guy. He's a true superhero.
He was on this podcast a couple months ago, and he gave you partial credit for. I don't think he said exactly these words, but partial credit for teaching him his game, quote unquote. He said when he was a young kid in Hollywood, and you used to take him out on the town, and he learned a lot as far as, you know, how to play the game. So.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if that's I think I take it as a compliment, but everybody's different.
Yeah, that's a compliment, man. Yeah. You gotta work to meet them girls.
Yeah.
You know, that's the one sort of angle of wrestling, that confidence and that kind of thing that I always kind of had, but always off camera. Just, you know, just with ladies, just kind of speaking of playing a smooth game and having some fun with them.
Yeah, he had said he was just a young country bumpkin, and you went out to Hollywood and you taught him how to play the game. Like I said, hey, you mentioned meeting different independent wrestlers WrestleMania weekend. I found a video of you with an indie wrestler. I've heard of him, but I don't know him very well, named RJ City, where you guys sat around in your underwear making coffee.
Yeah.
By the way, you were telling great stories. The story about playing poker with Harvey Korman and Dom DeLuise and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
The stories were incredible, man, that you were telling. I don't know if you want to tell that story again for those who haven't heard it, about playing poker with Harvey Korman. You go ahead. It was a great story.
Yeah. Well, RJ City's an amazing wrestler. We've got a feud going on. You know, I don't understand feuds. I don't know how to do them. I don't know how to use Twitter, so I'm completely kind of like the old guy trying to play this young guy's sport again. But, yeah, him and a guy named Matt Fidget, the Dirty Rook, another place, they're both, like, very upset at me. And I so yeah, I saw RJ City. He wrestles at Greektown in Toronto a lot, and so I met him. Oh, and I'd like to give a shout out to Katie Arquette. She's another wrestler in Pennsylvania that's carrying on the Arquette name.
There you go.
Yeah, and then so we did. He does this thing called Coffee in Your Underwear. It's kind of a nod to like Coffee and Comedians with Cars, but it's a wrestling version where you drink coffee in your underwear. And he's a big fan of like B. Arthur and all these 70s stars. So Dom DeLuise, he's just particularly fond of. I don't know if you guys have seen Fatso, but it's a great film. And
Dom DeLuise, not to interrupt you, but Dom, my parents, when I was a kid, bought a condo in Jupiter. They actually retired there, but they used it as like a vacation place, Jupiter, Florida. We lived in South Florida. Yeah. And Dom DeLuise actually lived for about 10 years in the same condo on the penthouse floor. that we did. So I actually got to meet him a couple times because, he was
RJ City would like flip out if you ever he would he'd have endless questions for you.
I got to get him on.
Yeah, I got to play in this crazy poker tournament, this weekly poker game by a guy named Norby Walters, who's like an old-time Hollywood sort of sweet guy who I was just friends with everyone from Harvey Korman and Dom DeLuise and, Angie Dickinson, just like Burt Reynolds, like really interesting people of a certain sort of time period, old Hollywood stuff, but even young Hollywood actors, like different people would play. And I once got 4-8. We were playing this game, and I was in there, and I started going all in against Harvey Korman. I was like, oh, I got this guy. And then we finally revealed, and I show my 4-8, and he goes, oh, all I got is straight. And he put his straight down, and someone pointed out that it was a straight flush, and I got beat with 4-8.
That's unbelievable. By Harvey Korman, though, that makes that part makes the story. I love the story, but
it does. I was a huge fan of Carol Burnett and all those guys on there.
Sure. So RJ City is you kind of hit him with a chair at the end. So is that feud still up and going?
Oh yeah, it's going.
Any chance that we might see David Arquette back in the ring down the road to settle the feud with RJ City?
I don't know. Well, Matt Fidget's been, after me for 2 years, so I don't know, how it's going to all work out, but I definitely have to get in shape first if I do anything like that, and I got some health issues I got to worry about, but I'm definitely still interested in getting some respect on my name.
There you go.
I want to get some respect. So, yeah, I don't know. I love the business still. I know it's crazy business. It's tiring. I want to travel, but I got crazy respect for it. It kind of, my family goes back to vaudeville, and, there's something about, traveling with a circus-type carny atmosphere that's just in my blood. So, I don't know. Maybe someday.
There is a celebrity wing of the WWE Hall of Fame. Any thought that someday maybe in the next couple of years, you might get that call? You are, of course, a former world champion, so you're more than qualified, and you are a celebrity, of course.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they hate me over there or not. You know what I mean? I don't know if the hatred would outweigh the. I did show up at the WrestleMania. I was with DDP, and he invited us to come by the WWE after party. So that was kind of thrilling to see all those guys.
Were you at the actual Mania yourself? The actual show?
At the after party?
No, the show. Were you at the show?
Oh, yeah. I bought tickets.
So let me ask you a question. They bring this, we talked about it a little bit, but they bring this kid out. I'm just curious. Nicholas, do you automatically think to yourself, oh, crap, here we go again?
I knew immediately that it was going to be like, compare me to him. That's part of the reason I wanted to go to the after party. I went to the after party, and I found him. I took a picture with him.
That's fantastic. Is that on social media?
It should be, yeah. I put
we got
two champions.
We got to post that. Any projects that you're working on that the fans may be looking forward to?
Involving wrestling?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, I've been sort of filming stuff and just trying to I want to do we did a documentary recently called Survivor's Guide to Prison. Sorry, my dogs are going crazy. My kids are going crazy. We did a documentary called Survivor's Guide to Prison, and it's #1 on Amazon. It did really well. So we're in the documentary space. So we've been looking at trying to do something, but I'm not sure where that's going to go. I got a movie coming out called Saving Flora with Jenna Ortega that should be good. And I'm about to start another film soon, so we'll see where that goes too.
Well, I can tell you, no lie, you are one of the nicest. I got to meet a lot of celebrities being around WCW, and you are one of the nicest, if not the nicest one that I've ever met. And floored that you remember being on the roof of the hotel drinking vodka shots. But
Yeah.
It's evident to me that it still somewhat bothers you that you know the way people look upon your title reign and all that. And I just want to tell you honestly, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. As somebody who's been around this business in a lot of different promotions and a lot of different capacities for 25 plus years. I may not be a big star, but I've been around. You got nothing to be ashamed of, man. You donated. I know you don't brag about it. You donated that money to 3 great wrestling charities for people's families who were affected in a negative way. And I'll still say that Vince Russo, nothing against Vince, I'm not picking a fight with him, winning the world title was 10 times as bad as them giving it to you. So I hope you could feel better about that as time goes on, man. I really do.
I appreciate you saying all that. It really means a lot. And I appreciate you bringing back that memory of us all sharing some shots with Canyon. God bless.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time, and good luck to you. And maybe we'll see you in Chicago on Labor Day weekend. You never know.
Yeah, I'd love that. Thank you, man.
All right, buddy. Have a good one. Thank you so much.
You too. Take care.
So as always, we hope you enjoyed our conversation with David Arquette. It really sticks out in my mind that he really seems to be, here's a guy, he has a beautiful wife, probably a home in Hollywood Hills. I certainly know he has kids and dogs because he mentioned it that when they were barking and the kids were going crazy. A successful career, God knows the experiences that he's had, being in the Hollywood scene, as I mentioned at the beginning of the interview, what was one of the coolest experiences for me to walk the red carpet at Mann's Chinese Theater at a movie premiere is probably like the average Wednesday for David Arquette. But he takes it so seriously, and you got to respect the guy for that he really seems to be bothered, even to this day, 18 years later, almost 19, by the fact that the criticism that he's gotten. And if you disagree with my take, what I told and what I discussed with David Arquette, and if you think that it was the end of WCW or it did jump the shark, I'm happy to discuss that in a civil way with you on social media, on Twitter at David Penzer. Hit me up. There's nobody that's ever written anything to me on Twitter that offended me. I like to have good conversation. So if you disagree, I'd actually rather somebody tell me they disagree with me and why, and have a nice debate about it. Quite frankly, that's just my personality. But yeah. I'd say that they jumped the shark when they had the wrestler formerly known as Prince Iakea or Kiwi, or there's there's a million different times that WCW jumped the shark. But to me, it wasn't David Arquette being world champion. That's my opinion. If you disagree, I respect that and love to hear from you, regardless if you agree with me or if you don't agree with me. But want to thank David Arquette again. And you never know. It sounds like maybe him and RJ City will be having a match. Last time they had coffee in their underwear, it didn't work out so good. So we're looking forward to bringing you more exciting guests and looking forward to being on Podcast Row at StarCast. And also I'll be hosting the Death of WCW panel. Talk about pressure. There's no pressure there. But if you want information on that, you go to starcast.com. I'm looking forward to being there. And love for some of the listeners to come out and introduce themselves. And never know, thinking about might have some City Ringside T-shirts for sale at a very, very fair price. So if that's something you might be interested in, of our logo on a T-shirt, drop me a line. Let me know. Thinking about getting some of those printed up for Podcast Row or to sell online. So thank you as always for joining us. I'm humbled that you do. And each and every week we strive to provide an hour or two of stories about professional wrestling. Until next time, I'm David Penzer. I'm still sitting ringside. Take care.
Follow David Penzer on Twitter at David Penzer. Also make sure to follow the show on Twitter at Penzer Ringside. You've been sitting ringside with David Penzer on Radio Influence.
Hey, it's It's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.